Bass players, music family, people everywhere. How are you guys doing? Yo, today we have a special guest with us. He's a writer, he's a bass player. Clearly, he's got his bass in his hand. He's an MD. What more can I say? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Josh Howard. Man, how you doing today?
Yo, what's up, man? I'm doing good.
I always like to dive into this one. According to everyone I interview, this is the hardest question, but that's okay. Who are some of your biggest inspirations?
I think bass players, as far as people who have influenced me the most, James Jamerson, who's probably like my earliest bass player that I remember. I grew up listening to a lot of oldies, like a lot of Motown stuff. This guy named Thaddeus Tribbett, or
Oh
Tribbett,
yeah, yeah.
bro. He like changed the game for me. Yeah, Thaddeus Tribbett really changed a lot for me when I heard him, and just the way that he approached. There's a lot of churches in Tennessee, so I had a lot of work in the church, and I had a lot of friends that played in church, and just his approach to church playing specifically was it really resonated with me, and it was a lot more similar to the things that I was already interested in. Tim LaFave, who is a guy who lives out here, I'm just like a huge fan of. Michael League from Snarky Puppy, I think I like. He kind of made a certain style of bass playing really cool again for like a current generation. So I really like that. Not that he was the only one that was doing it, but he was definitely, I think, one of the more public figures.
Hmm.
As far as non bass players who have influenced me just in life, shoot, Dave Chappelle, like for real, man. Like just the way that he approaches his craft and his art is just inspiring. Dan Harmon, who's a writer, writes for a show called Community, Rick and Morty. Like I've been following his career even before Rick and Morty for a really long time, and he's just a pretty amazing and inspiring person. Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee,
Oh
bro,
yeah,
he's like a human superhero. So
dude, I love Bruce Lee growing up.
yeah, man,
I remember like when I was a kid, like my favorite movie from him was was like when it wasn't End yeah, it was End of the Dragon. That and Game of Death.
man, dude.
So one thing that I saw was I know this was a little while ago. This was 2018, but you did was it Destination Imagination? Like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
when I saw you like just walk up the steps and I saw that kind of like whoa.
That was crazy, man. Like, man, you talk
Yeah.
it imagination. I didn't know this because I wasn't smart in high school. Destination imagination is this thing for every smart kid where they go and like learn about other smart things. You can tell talking about it that I'm still not smart. But yeah, man, they're just there, and so what they do is they hire like professional writers and musicians to come in and like teach. Like there was like a songwriting class there that these kids could take and stuff like that. And so I got hired by one of the songwriters, by this guy named Levi Christ, who's like a Tony Award winner, who I've played with a pretty decent amount. And he's a really good guy too. Check him out. Um, but yeah, it was. We just did covers. Like we did "Can't Stop the Feeling." Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Justin
yeah.
Timberlake. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did like that song, and we did just a couple other songs like that. And man, you talk about electrifying. It was insane. There's like I don't know how many people Thompson Bowling Arena holds, but it was an insane amount of kids who knew every word to every song. I never had to not try on a stage like that. Like they just give you all the energy you need because they're
Yeah.
just going bananas like the whole time. They got like glow sticks and stuff. It was really cool, man. Yeah, Destination Imagination was a really cool experience.
So kind of what is your process behind like basically behind writing?
Man, that's a complicated question. I think that my process behind writing is okay. So I've been writing a long time. I'm 31, and I've been writing since I was like 15, 14. Um, and I think that my process now, currently for writing, is my biggest like number one thing. Whenever I work with other writers, especially people who haven't written that much, maybe only a couple of years, is I try and tell them to like two, I'll say like two or three things. The one thing is you have to stay true to the essence of what you're writing. So, a lot of people will start with an idea that they're really happy about. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I want to write a song that says, this political statement or this,
Mm.
like, or I want to write a love song or like whatever. And then halfway through, they'll get to a place where maybe it's not happening as quick as they want it to, and then they'll go like, I don't know, man, we can write a song about whatever. And it's like, and I can tell at that point that they're just concerned with using the ingredients that they have there. Like they're not really concerned with the thing that inspired them. Like they just see a bunch of like ingredients on a table and they're just like, I just need to like use all this. It's what I have. I don't want to add anything more. Like I've put in a lot of work, like whatever. So normally what I do is the first thing I do when I write and when I write with other people is like, no, hold on to that thing that's inspiring. Like hold on to that, because that's the thing that people are going to want to hear. When you write and you're in the headspace of what a song is about, just write and write and write and write and write as much as you possibly can. Squeeze out all the juice, because that way when you come back to that song later, it will be easier to get back into that mindset. I think a lot of people stop, they make it hard on themselves because they only write a little bit. They only write like half a verse or something, and then like pat themselves on the back and call it a day. And then be like, oh, okay, well, when I get back, I'm going to be in that same headspace and I'm going to remember that. So I'm going to just keep going like that. It's like, no, man, you have to like paint as specific of a picture the first time as you possibly can. And man, I've written some ugly songs the first time through. Like I'll write like the two lines that I'm inspired by, and then I'll be like, and then it says something about this, and then maybe we come down here, and then verse two, I don't really know, but it's faster. And then like I'll write like just nonsense on a piece of paper. Pictures of dinosaurs, you know, fighting rocket ships and stuff, just trying to like, whatever. But at the end of the day, then when I get back and I hear like, oh, dinosaur biting the rocket ship. Oh, that's right. That's what it's about.
So like this is a scenario that I give pretty much everybody that I interview that comes on here. All right, I gotta put the bass down for this one. What would you say to the person who feels like, I pour my heart and my soul out into my craft, I pour out into what I do, I pour out into the music, but I feel like nobody ever pays attention to me. I feel like, kind of overappreciated and underlooked. I'm sorry, not other way around, because that'd be a good thing, but underappreciated and overlooked. So like kind of, kind of like, don't like people who is like, this year either you're on the boat with me or you're not. Like, don't come to me 20 years down the road being like, hey man, we was with you the whole time. Well, no, you weren't. Like you didn't come to a single show that I had. And like you said, you got work every Friday night. You don't even have a job. Every Saturday, you don't got a job. So like to the person who feels kind of like, I pour my heart and my soul out into what I do and nobody pays attention, nobody appreciates me, like basically feels, underappreciated, overlooked. Like what do you say to that person like that?
Two things. First is, doesn't matter what level you're at, you're always going to have people like that. So one, you just got to get used to that. Like I hate to say that. It doesn't matter how small your circle becomes. You could be, you could be Jay-Z, you know what I mean, running the world, with the Illuminati every week at your weekly meetings. But honestly, like I bet Jay-Z still has somebody in his crew who like is probably honestly just along for the ride. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody as successful and as well off as he is. So I think one is, man, you have to learn, and this is the honest truth, you have to learn that in your life there are tiers of friendship. You're not either a friend or not a friend. That's not how real life works. That's how life works when you're, kids are the ones that say like, oh, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. That's not how real life is. And I hate that. I hate that for you. I hate that for me. But that's not how real life. So one is you have to learn, okay, this is a person that I have to keep at arm's length. This is a person that I can let a little bit closer. This is a person that needs to stay away from me. And let me tell you, at your shows, when you finally are on stage accepting that award, all of those people are going to come up. All three of those people are going to come up to you when you walk off stage and go like, "Oh man, I knew you were making it the whole time."
Yeah, we was with you though, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think one thing is like, I know people that will go their whole lives just trying to get like the right circle around them and the right family and whatever. I appreciate that. I'm trying to do that to myself. But the truth of and the reality is like, you're never going to be in a situation where you get rid of all those people. So you have to learn how to deal with them and recognize them in a healthy way. I think the other thing is like, it's not all, it's not always your audience's fault. And I'm really guilty of this because I used to write these really, just like these complex, like perfect things in my mind. They were perfect. And then I would give like the tracks to people and they'd be like, I mean, it's kind of cool. And I would be like, don't you see? I'm a genius. Don't you see? Or like whatever. But the truth is, it is not your audience's responsibility to take something the right way,
Hmm.
right? So if you find yourself in a situation where you are consistently putting out content, you're consistently writing music, and you're consistently playing shows, and there's not a lot of people coming, and nobody understands, like whatever. I think that you should, as a performer and as an artist, you should understand that part of that is your fault. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It's hard for me to swallow. I have to constantly reevaluate myself every time I play a show too. Like because man, at the end of the day, it's you need to work on your craft in
Yeah.
a way that you are putting your I'm not saying somebody's ideas are bad, but maybe the way that you're putting out the ideas are bad. Maybe the
Mm.
way framing the picture is not the best. You have to walk around with those kind of those kind of guts. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes a lot of courage to be a writer and a performer. It takes a lot of courage to be an artist. So you have to have that. But if it's not coming off the page and it's not coming off the stage, maybe that's on you. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're the reason that they're not getting it. Maybe it's not their fault. Keep focusing on your craft. Don't ever get in a negative headspace where you're constantly blaming your audience. And
Mhm.
when you finally hit it big, and you will, because success takes consistency. It
Mhm.
doesn't take time. Success takes consistency.
Also say this too, like because I had Snoop Allen Evans.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, I did an interview with him a little while back too. And then one thing
Nice.
that like a lot of these guys talk about is him, Bubby, Morgan Turner, people that I've done like they talk about, it's about personality and stuff like that. But it's like with this one right here is the question of there are like I see like there's people who like play like underground places, like cafes, stuff like that, and like they enjoy that like that's their thing, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like. But to the people who are just kind of like I don't want to like stay in like the cafes forever. I want to like be able to play Destination Imagination. I want to like be able to like graduate and like go up to like higher levels. So would you say that that's like an issue of kind of like branding, exposure? Like, what would you say to that?
I'll say this. I think that trying to think about the right way to say this. I think part of that. Okay, I'll say this. Before I moved out here, I saw. I guess I would see like a handful of extremely successful people kind of come in and out of my musical life. And maybe I'd, kind of hitch a ride for a while, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it was like an artist that was like down with the way that I played and wanted me to be a part of their team, and I would hang out with them, play with them wherever. I'd travel, like whatever. Um, but since I've moved out here, I see those people all the time. I also I've also met people who it felt like, the way they talk about their careers, it felt like they were successful by accident. Not just because they were out here, maybe they were doing something at a high level too. But I think being around the business that you want to be a part of is a very smart idea,
Hmm.
right? You know what I mean? There's a ton of business and work coming out of certain places. And maybe there's not as much in other places. So I think part of it is just your location maybe hurting you way more than you think. Maybe I don't know. Um, I think that's part of it. I think also you can't if you want to be like in a certain group of people, a certain ring of people. Like man, if they don't know who you are and they don't know where you are, how are they gonna? How do you expect them to like get you on? You know what I mean? Like so you have to make it easy for somebody to want to work with you. Go where they are, hit them up like for real. Just contact them. Stop liking all their videos and just message them.
Yeah.
Uh, thing. I don't mean literally stop liking all their videos, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you have to. It's. I feel like as far as your work and your business is concerned, it's definitely a situation where, the shortest distance is a straight line, right? Make it, go take the most direct route you can think of to get to those people, to get to that person, and do that. I heard somebody say that once. They said, okay, I want to be playing on this stage in 2 years. Let me go. Let me look up all the people that have played on that stage. Let me look up all the places that those people have played. Let me see who their managers are. Maybe like you'll find like four of those artists have the same manager. Okay, maybe now that manager, maybe you understand now that that manager has an in at that place. So you need to just hit up that manager, try to get in with that manager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to think about, be realistic with what your goals. And I don't mean sometimes when people say be realistic, they mean like make your goals less so they're more attainable. That's not what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I'm saying, set your goals where you want, shoot for the stars. Just understand that you have to learn how to drive a rocket ship to get there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, man. Another question that I don't think I asked earlier, but what kind of gear do you use?
Yeah. So currently, I've used this bass, Tom Clements, who's a guy who lives in Florida. It's like it's a six-string semi-hollow
Oh,
bass.
that's semi too?
Yeah, semi-hollow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really like
Nice.
the sounds. I've been addicted to it for a while. Even before I heard like Thundercat and like Patitucci had his semi hollow, I found this bass like by accident, kind of, and was like blown away by it. So yeah, I'm using Tom Clements bass. Check them out. Also, in talks right now with Sarek Bass in Chicago about getting a bass from them. That's not that's definitely going to happen. So yeah, check out Sarek. Check out Tom Clements. I use let's see. Currently, I'm using a lot of different pedals. Fairfield Electronics, Boss, Electro Harmonics. I use a lot of Electro Harmonics stuff. Um, those kinds of pedals. Strings. These are Diodario, but I'm looking into labellos, honestly. Which I think I'm going to end up doing that. And then Form Factor Audio, which is a new company that I just got in with. They're an amp company. Incredible amps. Incredible amps. Form Factor Audio. Go check them out. Follow all these companies that I just mentioned. Follow them all on Instagram. Tell them I sent you.
Hey man, why don't you close this out, man, by giving us a little something?
Got you. Yeah. Yeah. See, I did this on Instagram the other day.